If anyone's wondering how the hell I'm able to put out 3 videos in a row and they're like 45 minutes, this is probably taking me like about 2 hours. I really don't have a lot of homework, and I really don't have a lot to do today. So I figured I'd sit down and I'd get a lot of philosophical ramblings out of the way, or at least one very long one. I probably actually won't do philosophical rambling number 9. I wish I could have, or I wish I could, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Maybe later tonight. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a lot of homework, so it's not really a big deal for me to be doing this. Um, and I already did my blog post for today, so that's a good chunk of what I needed to get done today. Already done, somewhat. I need to do other stuff too. So in this rant, if you didn't watch the last one, and you might not have, because this is definitely going to be under 10 minutes, possibly under 5, maybe, probably under 7. What enables philosophers is that courage and music and philosophy. And that was Cornel West that talked about that. Again, the professor of philosophy at Harvard. Love is an appreciation of people's imperfections, which was Zizek. So, for people who don't know Zizek, well, he's very interesting. He's very interesting to say the least. So, going to talk quickly about all 3 probably. The question is actually an interesting and a good one. Like, what drives philosophers to keep analyzing knowledge, or keep analyzing truth? Philosophy and philosophers have always been kind of stereotyped or pigeonholed as people who just think about the most trivial of things and discuss it for an insane amount of time, until it becomes just impractical and everybody just forgets about the whole thing. Something like this. And unfortunately, there is some truth to that, of course. In stereotypes and pigeonholing, I do find there is some ounce of truth, but the ounce of truth that's there has been stretched to the point where it's a bit ridiculous, and a lot of the truth value has gone away. But in this case, there is some amount of truth to it. I don't know if it's a good amount, but there's some amount of truth to it. The philosopher discussed things to an insane amount of time. Like, you could say I'm kind of discussing these things in an insane amount of time. I've spent just about 2 hours of my day today just discussing philosophical ideas and topics that pop into my head by other people, and some people might think that's crazy. I like it personally, but so maybe I'm crazy. But what enables philosophers? I think I don't think it's courage necessarily, though it can be, and I think that follows from Cornel West's idea of challenging power, because you need a lot of courage to challenge power. Being an anarchist, I know this from firsthand experience. Not like really bad firsthand experience, but everyday interactions with authority figures, is kind of tough for me. So anyway, I think it's courage, but it's also sort of an intellectual drive, sort of just a striving for happiness, or a striving for more intellectual pleasure, which is something John Stuart Mill said is what utilitarians really want anyway. Again, I'm not utilitarian, but I do have a lot of utilitarian leanings, I think, in some important ways. So, let me take this up, and that's going to be a bad noise on the video, and I apologize. So, I'm not sure what exactly enables philosophy. It heavily depends on the field they're studying, what they're studying, who they are. There's too many variables to say what universally enables philosophers. I know what enables me is a search for truth, and I think this enables a lot of philosophers too. But past that, it's because truth brings pleasure, truth brings more practicality in one's life. It's much more practical to be to have the truth with you than to have many falsehoods with you. You won't really live life easily and pleasurably for that long. So anyway, I'm not sure what exactly enables philosophers. I guess you'd have to ask each individual philosopher and figure out some common unifying theme. I personally don't know. I don't think it's courage necessarily, though. He talks about music and philosophy. The general topic, you could talk for a long time about music and philosophy and their relation and their contrast. But he was talking about, the funk, and the funk that we all live in, and I don't know what exactly he was getting at. But he was talking about, music and art and poetry and philosophy. They all very well, they all have something to do with each other. And I think that what they have to do with each other is basically the liberating aspect of them. That it's very liberating to philosophize and look for the truth and search for knowledge. It can also be heavily restricting. So can art, so can music, so can poetry. So that's one thing I'll say they'll have in common. Finally, love is an appreciation of people's imperfections. Zshift is talking at first about environmentalism and how he thinks environmentalism is dead. Then he switches around and talks about how environmentalists actually have the right idea. Then he switches around and starts talking about love, and this is where I kind of got my idea from. So Zshift is very much all over the place. As my professor said, it was classic Zshift. At any rate, love is an appreciation of people's imperfections. My girlfriend is not perfect. She is not the most, I don't know, I'd like to think she's the most beautiful thing in the world, in the universe, but she probably isn't, statistically, and I know that sounds very cold-hearted, but to me, she's the most beautiful thing. I haven't found anything better. And even if I did, her personality is wonderful, but it's not perfect. And there are some things about her that I don't really like, that really annoy the hell out of me. But that doesn't mean I don't love her. And honestly, I generally love her because she has these imperfections, because these things are wrong with her, because we can work together to help either fix them or help make them less prevalent, and she can help me make my flaws less prevalent. And it goes both ways. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything. So yeah, I think love has a lot to do with appreciating people for what all they're worth, not just for what they are on the exterior. It's also what they are in the interior and who they really are. And again, it goes back, love, I guess, goes back to the original theme, the examined life. I think if you live an examined life, and I've already kind of tried to sketch out what that might look like, you can love a lot more effectively. And I hope that's something I can, achieve in my life. Alright, so this has been a very long philosophical rambling. I hope someone has watched all this. But if you haven't, I don't really blame you. My base videos, I will be doing, what's the next one? Know Your Enemy? No, it's not Know Your Enemy. It's Bullet in Your Head by Rage Against the Machine. I know I've been doing like 5 Rage Against the Machine covers, but I'm doing it in a specific order, namely the order in which I learned these songs or how they go together. But don't worry, this is the last Rage song for a little bit, for quite a while probably actually. So if you're getting tired of Rage, don't worry, a new band is going to come up the week afterwards, and then I'll probably have probably 5 videos of that band as well. So yeah, that's it. I hope someone has enjoyed this, and even if not, eventually I might start winding down on these philosophical ramblings, making them shorter. I don't know. Whatever naturally happens, I'm not going to do it just because people want me to necessarily, unless it's really ineffective, which it might be. I don't know, but I don't find it that ineffective. I find it pretty. It's pretty good to get all this out, to get all these ideas out. So anyway, so for anyone who kept up the whole time, I really appreciate it. And let me know what you think in the comments or on Facebook. Thanks a lot.